Hey everyone, you saw the thumbnail. If you're confused, it's because this girl's kit does literal nothing without Isabel, okay? This is basically an update to Isabel. Let's talk about it. Alright, welcome back to another Goddess of Victory video, and we're going to go over our new unit Arcana's kit. She is a burst 2 support rocket launcher electric code, and like I said, is basically an equipment piece for Isabel, okay? Arcana does nothing without Isabel because burst duration is 10 seconds. And her skills go off within 10 seconds of full burst ending, okay? So just let's back up a second and talk about some of the history of like how these other units work, because I had to read this kit like 5 times and I was wondering honestly, like, shift up, what are you on? Like, it's totally ridiculous. So there was an old tech of using a team with Vesti and Isabel and 2 CDR units, okay? So we'd use like Leader, Dola, Isabel, Vesti, and then one other unit. A lot of times it would be like either Drake, Modernia, sometimes Senti for more burst end, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the point is, you would just cycle through your burst as fast as possible. So the key thing here is that Isabel's burst lowers the burst duration by 5 seconds. So instead of being in full burst for 10 seconds, you're only in full burst for 5 seconds, and then you want as much CDR as possible to get back into your burst, so you could spend almost the entire time in full burst despite the fact that your burst duration was reduced, okay? So does that mean we're gonna bring this tech back? I mean, it kind of worked before, although honestly it was sort of a gimmick, even though it sort of functioned. But I don't know. Let's take a look at actually Arcana's skills, okay? Now that you guys kind of have this framework of like why Arcana's kit does nothing without Isabel, you know how Isabel works. Let's take a look at her skills, and I'm actually going to start with her burst, okay? So it's a 40-second cooldown, which right off the bat, that should be red flags to anybody. And it says, affects electric code allies. Wheel of Fortune attack damage goes up 10% for 10 seconds. Okay, cool. Attack damage up. Decent buff, small buff, but still attack damage is one of the best kind of buffs you can have in the game. And then affects all enemies, deals 300% of final attack as burst skill damage. Really strong. 300% of final attack, even though she's a supporter, is a massive attack damage to all enemies. That's good, that's good. And judgment, damage taken up 10% for 10 seconds. Damage taken is another really, really good debuff on the enemies. So very solid, okay? But the key thing here is that her burst triggers Wheel of Fortune, okay? So now let's go to her other skills. Skill 1 activates when full burst ends, okay? So not during full burst, when it ends, affects all burst 3 electric code allies, very specific buff here, who previously cast their burst skill if self is in Wheel of Fortune status, okay? So if she didn't burst, this does nothing, okay? But if she bursts, then she activates Wheel of Fortune status. The Magician cooldown of skill 2 is 75% for 15 seconds, and attack damage goes up 180% for 15 seconds. 180% of attack damage up is pretty bananas. That's extremely good for all of your burst 3 electric code allies. And keep in mind, Isabel is a burst 3 electric code ally. And of course, you could combine her with, you know, Cinderella or Ein or whatever other, you know, busted burst 3 electric code ally you want to use. And then activates when full burst ends, affects all allies, attack goes up by 5 seconds of caster's attack for 10 seconds. All right, these are all very good things, although very specific, very, very strong buffs, okay? The problem is that this all happens after full burst ends, okay? And full burst lasts 10 seconds. So you're never going to get this because the burst duration is going to be too long to actually get the effect, okay? Same thing for skill 2 here. Activates when full burst ends, affects all burst 3 electric code allies who previously cast their burst skill if self is in Wheel of Fortune status. Strength. Attack goes up by 180% of caster's attack for 15 seconds. Very good. Activates when full burst ends, affects all allies if self is in Wheel of Fortune status. Deals cooldown of burst skill down 6 seconds. So we got a good CDR unit here. So burst skill cooldown, that's really good, which means you could do the combo like back in the day with Leader, or in this case, you would now in the modern comp use either Siren or Rappy for the best burst gen, okay? And combined, they're going to have like a total of like, 13 seconds or more of burst skill cooldown, which is kind of nuts. And then activates when full burst ends, affects all allies, attack damage goes up by 7.5 seconds. The problem is that she doesn't stay in Wheel of Fortune status, okay? Because all these skills trigger when the burst ends, and full burst lasts for 10 seconds, okay? But the Wheel of Fortune lasts for 10 seconds. So you're never going to get it unless you lower the burst duration, which is going to be what Isabel does. Now, another thing I do want to point out is the kind of really weirdly specific skill. I think it's on her skill 2. It says... what is it on skill? Oh yeah, in skill 1, cooldown of skill 2 is down 75% for 15 seconds. This is also very weirdly specific to Isabel only, because Isabel has her skill 2 has something that is an active skill that happens every 15 seconds, which deals massive attack damage to the enemy. So this is going to make that go off way sooner. So again, we're buffing Isabel in another direct manner here that wouldn't affect any other unit. So it's definitely going to beef up Isabel. The problem is, like, does it really matter? Do we want to be using Isabel? I mean, I don't know. So reasons why she's bad. Okay, so she's a 40-second CDR or 40-second cooldown, which means you need to combine her with insane cooldown reduction or use another burst 2. You know, it's just not good. 40-second is never a good sign, okay? And then she only works with one specific unit, Isabel. Otherwise, her entire kit is invalidated. So big problems there. Again, only will work with Isabel. And the one unit you're combining her with isn't even top tier. Now, are the buffs enough to make Isabel top tier? Possibly, maybe. But also, you're having to invest a bunch in now building your Isabel, which you probably didn't before, okay? So even though she does huge buffs, the opportunity cost is really high. So just to make Isabel work, you're having to use Arcana and build your whole team around this, and then possibly build units you weren't building before just to make this work. Now, maybe this works with future units. This is something we see pretty frequently because Shift Up will make kind of like a support unit that doesn't seem relevant, and then later on, they'll release a DPS that really benefits from that. This is a common pattern that we see. So Arcana could be less Isabel specific in the future, or maybe it works with a future unit who has a treasure or something like that. So it is possible, okay? And again, these are very, very strong buffs, but only works if you reduce your burst duration, which only works with Isabel. So do not pull for this unit unless you have Isabel, because there's no rate up for Isabel. Even if you wishlist Isabel, she's still a 1% unit because she's a pilgrim. So this is definitely like a nod to like OG players who already have Isabel and are big fans, okay? So this is why this is actually a secret W move, because like Shift Up, I see you, okay? This is actually a good move because most people can pass on this unit and then save between Anniversary and the summer units and Stellar Blade that are coming right around the corner, okay? So that's cool. You can hold, keep your resources, build the bank back up, okay? But Isabel simps, and I don't say Isabel fans, Isabel simps, can finally feel seen, okay? They finally get their waifu to work because Isabel will probably be legit very strong when combined with Arcana. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'm gonna pass on her. I'll probably do like 1 or 2 polls just to like see if I get super lucky. I will put her on the wish list. Let me know if you're planning to poll for her. I know there are a few really big Isabel fans out there. There's an extremely dedicated group of people, even though they might be small, who are really into Isabel, and she got one of the best skins probably in the game. So, you know, there's that. So I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are on Arcana. Really strange kit. I mean, I really, even though I said this is kind of a secret W move, I feel like this is not good design in sort of the bigger picture, okay? Like, this is actually worse than most paired units, because even units that like need another unit to kind of like work, like Blanc or like the schoolgirls or whatever, they still do most of their stuff without the unit. Like, maybe they're just a slower cooldown without their friend, or maybe they, you know, have like one part of their ability that doesn't work without their partner, right? But for Arcana, she needs Isabel. Otherwise, she's just completely invalid. So I don't like that we are making units that are that hyper specific. It kind of feels bad. But in this specific scenario, again, because we're between, you know, a big collab and summer and the anniversary, this is kind of a good pass. And it also, you know, really kind of like helps a very specific group of people who will be excited for this. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. You know, depending on how you use her, she's either the worst unit in the game or a really legit buffer, because she's going to have Isabel doing huge damage with her skill 2 and just generally really big buffs as you're cycling through those burst cycles. So, all right. I'll catch you guys on stream. Make sure you check out my Twitch channel below. Like the video if you want more nikke videos. I'm also really excited for Etheria Restart. It's a game that I think a lot of you guys would enjoy. I've been streaming it lately. I'm in beta test. It's pretty cool. And yeah, more nikke stuff coming every week. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next video or stream.